Ever wondered what the childhood of a great conqueror like Alexander looked like? Let's take a journey back in time, over 2,300 years ago, to the heart of ancient Greece. Born on a warm summer day, July 20th, 356 BC, Alexander was destined for greatness from the very start. His birthplace? Pella, the bustling capital of Macedonia, cradled by the verdant Macedonian hills. His father, Philip II, was the formidable king of Macedon, a man known for his military prowess and strategic mind. His mother, Olympias, was a woman of intense spirituality, a believer in omens and prophecies. From this dynamic duo, Alexander inherited a cocktail of ambition, courage, and intelligence. As a young boy, Alexander's education was not limited to mere reading and writing. He was taught to ride, to fight, and to hunt. He was being crafted into a warrior, a leader. One of his earliest feats was taming Bucephalus, an unruly horse deemed untamable by many. Alexander, merely 12 years old, managed to calm the beast, earning himself a loyal companion for several years to come. But Alexander was not just a warrior in the making. He was also a student of the legendary philosopher Aristotle. In the tranquil temple of the nymphs at Mieza, Aristotle tutored Alexander and the children of Macedonian nobles. It was here that Alexander was introduced to the world of medicine, philosophy, morals, religion, logic, and art. Under Aristotle's guidance, he also developed a love for literature. At the tender age of 16, Alexander was left in charge of the kingdom as a regent, while his father waged a war against Byzantium. During Philip's absence, the Thracian mighty revolted against Macedonia. Despite his young age, Alexander responded swiftly and bravely, driving them away from their territory. Little did the young Alexander know, he was being prepared for greatness. As we'll see in the next chapter, these early experiences paved the way for Alexander's ascent to power, and his journey towards becoming one of the most celebrated conquerors in history. How does a 20-year-old become a king, you may ask? Well, in Alexander's case, it was a tragic turn of events that led to his ascension. His father, King Philip II, was assassinated by the captain of his bodyguards, Pausanias, in 336 BC. This sudden loss thrust young Alexander onto the throne, a mere lad of 20 surrounded by nobles and an army that proclaimed him king. But being a king meant more than just wearing the crown. It meant dealing with enemies, both foreign and domestic. And for Alexander, the first order of business was to eliminate potential threats and rivals to his throne. With a resolve that belied his age, Alexander, along with his mother, ordered the execution of his cousins and step-siblings, who they perceived as threats. It was a ruthless move, but one that secured his position as the sole ruler of the kingdom. Yet the news of King Philip's death sparked a series of rebellions from the Thebes, Athens, Thessaly, and the Thracian tribes north of Macedon. These were formidable forces, eager to exploit the perceived weakness of a kingdom now led by a young and inexperienced ruler. But they underestimated Alexander. Gathering a Macedonian cavalry of 3,000, Alexander forced the Thessalian army to surrender. His strategic brilliance and daring courage led him to a successful defeat of the Thracian tribes. These victories were the first of many, marking the beginning of his reputation as a formidable conqueror. And so, at the tender age of 20, Alexander was not just a king, he was a conqueror. He had faced the trials of Ascension, dealt with internal threats, and quelled rebellions. His reign had truly begun, and the world was about to witness the rise of one of the greatest conquerors in history. At the tender age of 20, Alexander was already a king and a conqueror. Can a single man defeat an empire? Such a question may seem absurd, yet history bears witness to one man who did just that. Alexander the Great, the young king of Macedon, embarked on a campaign against the mighty Persian Empire, a feat that would etch his name in the annals of history. With an indomitable spirit and a formidable cavalry, Alexander began his Persian conquest in 334 BC. His first significant encounter was the Battle of the Granicus River, a decisive victory that set the tone for the rest of the campaign. Yet, the true test of his martial prowess came with his face-off against King Darius III, the ruler of Persia. Their battles were epic, a clash of titans that resounded across the land. Yet, despite the Persian king's best efforts, Alexander emerged victorious each time, his strategic genius and fearless leadership proving too much for the Persian forces. With every victory, Alexander's influence grew, his dominion expanding across the Persian territories. Yet Alexander was not just a conqueror, he was also a leader who understood the importance of respect and dignity. When he captured the Persian royal family, including Darius's wife and daughters, he treated them with the utmost respect, a testament to his character and principles. With the Persian Empire under his control, Alexander set his sights even further. The world was his stage and he was far from done. His next destination, India. But that's a story for another time. What happens when ambition knows no bounds? As Alexander the Great's conquest continued, his gaze turned to the northwestern Indian subcontinent. In 327 BC, he launched a campaign that would test his military genius like never before. In the heart of India, he encountered King Porus, a formidable adversary whose kingdom lay on the banks of the Hydaspes River in Punjab. The Battle of the Hydaspes River was a clash of titans, a defining moment in Alexander's Indian campaign. Yet Alexander's strategic brilliance prevailed and the Macedonians emerged victorious. With this victory, Alexander annexed Punjab, extending his empire further than any European had ever ventured. But this venture into India marked the end of his unstoppable march. His soldiers, weary from years of continuous warfare, yearned for home. Alexander's ambition led him to the edges of the known world. His dream of global conquest had indeed brought him to new horizons. But it also marked the beginning of the end of his remarkable journey. How did the life of this great conqueror end? After his conquest, Alexander married 3 times, first to Roxana, then to Persian princesses Statira and Parysatis. However, his life was cut short at the tender age of 32. It was in the palace of Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon that he succumbed to malaria. Despite his early demise, his indomitable spirit lived on, encapsulated in his famous saying, "There is nothing impossible to him who will try." Thus ended the life of Alexander the Great, a man who believed nothing was impossible.
What's your next step towards greatness? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to reach new heights. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of your dreams.